Mr. Harmon, you claim in the testimony that the Pacific Remote Islands National Monument is the reason for one of the two tuna canneries closing on American Samoa. Industry reports and the plant's owner's own assessment cite the fishing days lost through the South Pacific Tuna Treaty and larger economic factors, not the monument, as the reasons for closing the cannery. In essence, I think the company admitted that it was closing the plant because it was cheaper for them to process tuna in foreign countries than in American Samoa, despite the fact that the workers there were being paid less than minimum wage. 80% were foreign workers, and they were avoiding in very significant import duties. Do you disagree with this assessment and these widely reported facts, including the company's own assessment?
Well, I don't totally disagree with that, sir. The American Samoa is an expensive place to operate for a tuna cannery. Nonetheless, it's a place that, it's a good place for a lot of reasons. And there's always that balance of economics. And I don't, to address your earlier point, I don't think the marine monument was the only reason for the closure of the cannery. No, there's
Thank you.
other reasons.
That's the point, that there's no singular reason. There was a combination of reasons. Mr. Chisan, you expressed concern that the proposed expansion of the Flower Garden Banks National Marine Sanctuary in the Gulf of Mexico to a size of less than 383 square miles. By contrast, President Trump's plan for oil and gas lease sales in the Gulf's western, central, and eastern planning areas was more than 114,000 square miles. Do you believe it's unreasonable to protect less than 0.1% of critical fish and coral habitat in these areas of the Gulf from oil drilling?
I think in order to establish energy independence, we need to have everything open.
And
I'm not saying it's to the detriment of fisheries or any habitat.
So your point is these 383 miles need to be open as well, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Dr. Bruno, in your testimony, you point to a significant scientific evidence of the importance of marine reserves like marine national monuments for increasing the productivity of fisheries and benefiting the fishing industry as a whole. Your fellow panelist there, Mr. Harmon, claims that marine reserves only hurt fishermen and that eliminating fishing pressure from those areas does not benefit stocks of highly migratory species like tuna. Are these claims accurate? And will you please talk in a little more detail about the importance of spillover effects in improving fishery harvest, and can marine reserves help protect and restore populations of wide-ranging marine species like tuna, sharks, whales, and seabirds? In a minute, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Yes, absolutely. There's very clear scientific evidence that marine reserves increase fisheries productivity via the spillover effect. That's not necessarily true for highly migratory species. So as Mr. Harmon has testified, a lot of these tuna swim in and out of these very, very small reserves. But as a result, these small reserves have absolutely no impact on the fisheries catch and the tuna fishery in the PRI. The former per seine catch in the PRI was about 1% of their total catch. That's obviously a tiny amount. The fish move through the monument, so they can't possibly be locked up in the monument. And finally, this is a quota-based fisheries. So there's a certain number of fishes that the tuna boats are allowed to catch every year. The monument designation has zero impact on that number, so it does not in any way restrict the number of tuna that have been caught. In fact, tuna catches have been going up in recent years post-sanctuary implementation. So overall, there's no evidence that the sanctuary has any negative effect on the tuna fishery, despite what Mr. Harmon testified. And there's good evidence to suggest that they have benefited the fishery because it has increased and gone up.
Thank you. Yield back, Mr. Chairman.